The narcissist's victim mentality. How they shift blame. From the editorial staff of UnderstandNarcissism.com. Unpacking the tactics narcissists use to deflect blame, avoid accountability, and manipulate those around them. Learn how to recognize and protect yourself. Narcissists often project confidence and superiority, but beneath the surface lies a surprising paradox. They frequently see themselves as victims. This victim mentality serves a strategic purpose: deflecting responsibility, manipulating others, and preserving their inflated self-image. One key way they maintain this facade is through blame shifting and an outright refusal to accept accountability. In this podcast, we'll explore how narcissists adopt the role of the victim to control others, why they resist accountability, and how their tactics impact relationships. By understanding these behaviors, you can better protect yourself from their manipulative tendencies. Understanding the narcissist's victim mentality. At their core, narcissists have a fragile ego that cannot tolerate criticism or failure. Playing the victim allows them to deflect blame for their actions, garner sympathy and support from others, shift the focus from their flaws to external factors or scapegoats. This victim mentality isn't accidental. It's a calculated narcissistic tactic to shield themselves from responsibility and maintain control over their narrative. They twist facts, exaggerate perceived wrongs, and exploit the goodwill of others to uphold their self-image. Blame shifting, turning responsibility into accusation. Blame shifting is one of the narcissist's most insidious tools, enabling them to avoid accountability while making others feel guilty or responsible for their behavior. How blame shifting works. Denial of responsibility. Narcissists struggle to admit fault because it threatens their sense of superiority. Instead, they redirect attention to someone or something else, framing themselves as victims of circumstance or others' actions. Emotional manipulation. Narcissists use guilt, shame, or fear to deflect attention from their shortcomings. For example, when confronted about hurtful behavior, they might say, "You're too sensitive, I was just joking," effectively blaming you for feeling hurt. If they fail to deliver on a task, they might claim, "You didn't give me clear instructions," turning the focus onto your supposed failings. Projection. Narcissists often accuse others of the very behavior they exhibit. If they've lied or been untrustworthy, they'll accuse you of dishonesty to redirect scrutiny. Manipulating the narrative. By selectively retelling events, omitting key details, or fabricating new ones, narcissists create a distorted version of reality that absolves them of fault and paints their target as the villain. Examples of blame shifting. Personal relationships. A narcissist might say, "I wouldn't have done this if you hadn't pushed me," after being caught in a lie or betrayal. They might accuse a partner of being controlling when boundaries are set to protect against their manipulation. Professional settings. When a team project fails, they might blame colleagues for being disorganized or lazy, even when the fault lies with their mismanagement. They may claim credit for successes while attributing failures to others. The role of gaslighting. Blame shifting often accompanies gaslighting, a tactic where narcissists manipulate others into doubting their own perceptions. Gaslighting involves the narcissist constantly twisting the truth, creating confusion and self-doubt in their targets. This makes it easier for them to shift blame without resistance, as their targets begin to question their own reality. Lack of accountability, the core of narcissistic behavior. For narcissists, accountability is a threat. Owning up to mistakes requires humility and self-awareness, qualities they deliberately avoid. Instead, they deflect, minimize, and distort situations to maintain their illusion of infallibility. Why narcissists avoid accountability? Fragile ego. Admitting fault feels like an attack on their self-worth, often built on a fragile foundation of insecurity, masked as superiority. Fear of losing control. Accountability requires vulnerability, and narcissists fear losing control of how others perceive them. Avoiding responsibility allows them to maintain dominance in relationships. Preservation of perfection. Narcissists rely on an image of perfection to gain admiration. Taking responsibility would shatter this façade, which is unacceptable to them. Strategies narcissists use to evade accountability. Deflection. When questioned about their behavior, narcissists often pivot to unrelated topics or point out others' flaws to shift focus. Minimization. They downplay their actions or the harm they caused, making their behavior seem insignificant. For instance, they might say, "You're blowing this out of proportion." Playing the victim. Narcissists often frame themselves as the injured party, turning the tables on those holding them accountable. "I can't believe you'd accuse me of that after everything I've done for you," is a classic response. Blaming external factors. They might attribute their failures to circumstances beyond their control or claim others sabotaged them. Consequences of lack of accountability. Frustration and confusion for others. Those dealing with narcissists often feel helpless and question their role in situations even when they've done nothing wrong. Erosion of trust. Relationships falter when one party consistently refuses to own up to their actions. Cycle of conflict. Narcissists' refusal to resolve issues perpetuates a toxic environment of blame and resentment. The impact on relationships. Blame shifting and a lack of accountability wreak havoc on personal and professional relationships. Victims often experience self-doubt. Repeated accusations and distortions leave them questioning their reality. Emotional exhaustion. Constantly defending oneself against false accusations is draining. Erosion of confidence. Over time, victims may internalize the narcissist's criticisms, leading to reduced self-esteem. How to recognize and protect yourself. Recognizing the signs. Look for patterns of denial, deflection, and projection. Be cautious of someone who never seems to admit fault or always blames others. Setting boundaries. Establish clear limits and stick to them. Refuse to engage in blame games or emotional manipulation. Documenting interactions. Keep a record of conversations or events to counteract gaslighting and blame shifting. Seeking support, enlist the help of trusted friends, family, or professionals to provide perspective and validation. Narcissists use blame shifting and a refusal to take accountability as tools to maintain control, manipulate others, and preserve their self-image. Recognizing these tactics is the first step to protecting yourself from their harmful behavior. Remember, their distorted narrative doesn't define you. Stand firm in your truth, set boundaries, and seek support when needed. If you've encountered these behaviors, you're not alone. Understanding the narcissist's victim mentality and tactics is the key to breaking free from their control and reclaiming your emotional well-being. You are strong, resilient, and capable of standing firm in your truth, setting boundaries, and seeking support when needed. You have the power to overcome their harmful behavior and protect your emotional well-being. The information provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice. We are not licensed clinicians, mental health professionals, lawyers, or legal advisors. For any concerns regarding mental health or personal situations, please seek advice from a qualified professional. For more details, please read our full disclaimer.